He started with $800, a loan from his family, a two-story house on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit. And from that house, Berry Gordy built an empire that produced more #1 hits than almost any label in American history.
Nothing you can say could tear me away.
But here's the part nobody talks about in the highlight reels. Behind every sequined gown and choreographed smile, there were artists who were terrified, terrified to say no, terrified to ask where the money went.
Very superstitious.
Terrified that one wrong move could make them disappear from the most powerful hit machine on the planet. 10 artists, 10 stories. 10 times the price of fame at Hitsville USA was higher than anyone admitted. Number 10, Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard did not join the Supremes. She founded them. She recruited Mary Wilson. She picked the name Supremes from the list Berry Gordy handed them.
All by myself.
She was the group's most powerful vocalist from day one, but Berry Gordy decided Diana Ross had more crossover appeal to white audiences, and from that moment, Florence was erased. Gordy removed her from lead vocals. He renamed the group Diana Ross and the Supremes, publicly marking her as secondary in the group she had started. In July 1967, Florence arrived slightly late to a Las Vegas performance. Gordy pulled her aside backstage. He told her directly, "If you go on stage, I'll throw you off." Florence recalled those words to the Miami Herald in 1975. She said, "I didn't go on. I couldn't fight any longer." Cindy Birdsong, who had been quietly groomed as her replacement, changed into Florence's clothes and walked on stage.
And it hurt so bad.
Florence was 24 years old. Motown offered her $15,000 and a Cadillac to sign away years of royalties from 10 #1 hits.
You wanna leave me behind.
Her lawyer later embezzled most of what she recovered in court. Her solo career produced nothing. Her home was foreclosed.
Please don't leave me all by myself.
By 1975, Florence Ballard was living on welfare in Detroit with her 3 daughters.
Without burning love.
She died of cardiac arrest on February 22, 1976. She was 32 years old. Now listen to those opening notes of Where Did Our Love Go?
And it hurts so bad.
One of the songs Florence sang backing vocals on, while Berry Gordy built Diana Ross into a solo star on the back of everything Florence helped create.
Don't you want me no more? Ooh,
That sound cost Florence Ballard everything she had.
bless me. You now wanna leave.
Number 9, Mary Wells.
Cause I'm stuck like glue, my God.
Mary Wells was the original queen of Motown. She walked into a Detroit nightclub in 1960 at age 17, not to audition as a singer, but to sell a song she had written for Jackie Wilson.
I'm sticking to my guy like
Gordy heard her voice and signed her on the spot. She became Motown's first consistent chart presence.
my God.
Her partnership with Smokey Robinson gave the label its identity before the Supremes or the Temptations ever had a single hit.
Nothing you can buy could make me feel alive.
And in the week of her 21st birthday in May 1964, Smokey Robinson's My Guy made Mary Wells the first Motown artist to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I gave my guy my word of honor.
She was untouchable, and she picked up the phone, called Berry Gordy, and told him she was leaving.
I do, as a matter of fact, I know I must have found.
She had signed her original Motown contract at age 17. Under the law, a minor could disaffirm any contract the moment they turned 21.
Every day to play, my God.
Gordy was blindsided. He reportedly offered her a 50% stake in Motown itself to stay. She turned it down.
Nothing you can do.
She settled for a flat $30,000 in exchange for waiving all future royalties on everything she had ever recorded for Motown.
Stick together, I'm telling you from the start, I can't.
Nobody knew at the time how valuable those royalties would become. She'd signed with 20th Century Fox. She never had another hit.
Cause I'm stuck like glue, my God.
Gordy quietly buried her unreleased Motown tracks in the vault. Rumors have persisted for decades that he discouraged radio from playing her new music. Mary Wells died of throat cancer in 1992. She was 49 years old. 1 year before her death, she sued Motown for unpaid royalties. She received a settlement. Way too late, way too little. Yeah, that is what walking away from Berry Gordy at the top of your career actually cost.
My God.
Listen, 90% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If these stories are blowing your mind, imagine what you're missing. Hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and join the 200,000 R&B fans who never miss a Groove Lens upload.
Number 8, Holland. Dozier and Holland.
Before you break my heart.
Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, Eddie Holland. Between 1963 and 1967, these three men wrote and produced 25 #1 hits for Berry Gordy.
Baby, baby, I'm aware of where you go.
They wrote 10 of the Supremes' 12 #1 singles. They wrote Reach Out, I'll Be There for the Four Tops. They wrote Heat Wave for Martha and the Vandellas.
This time before you run to hell.
They wrote How Sweet It Is for Marvin Gaye. The Motown sound that conquered the world, that was largely them.
Of love before you break.
And Berry Gordy was paying them staff salaries, requiring them to clock in and out like workers on an auto assembly line, averaging 2 to 3 songs per day, under his publishing arm, Joe Bate,
Break my heart, think it over.
which meant Gordy legally owned every song they created. By 1967, they had had enough. They believed Gordy was withholding profit sharing and royalties that had been promised.
I've known of your.
Eddie Holland convinced Brian and Lamont to stage a work slowdown inside Motown.
Haven't I been good to you?
Gordy refused to negotiate. All three men walked out of Hitsville in early 1968 and never came back. Motown immediately sued them for breach of contract.
He said maybe once or twice, but it.
Holland, Dozier and Holland countersued. The litigation became one of the longest legal battles in music industry history.
Your secluded nights, I've even seen.
It was not settled until 1977, nearly a decade later. Because they were still legally contracted to Jabet, they could not use their own names on new songs they wrote.
Before you break my heart.
Their work appeared under fake names, Editha Wayne and Ron Dunbar, because their identities still legally belonged to Berry Gordy.
Baby, think it over.
Listen to the urgent military drum beat on Stop, In the Name of Love. The men who built that sound were essentially paid factory wages, while Gordy owned everything they created.
I tried so hard to
25 number ones, staff salaries, fake names. That was the deal inside the greatest hit machine in history.
losing you forever. Stop in
Number 7, Marvin Gaye.
There's too many of you crying.
Marvin Gaye married Berry Gordy's sister. He was literally family, and even that did not protect him.
Mother, mother.
A producer named Hank Cosby once described his earliest memory of Motown, watching Marvin Gaye in a fist fight with Berry Gordy on the front lawn of Hitsville, USA, rolling around in the rain.
Oh, it's not
Gordy's attitude with his artists, according to multiple sources, was simple. I made you a star. I've done everything for you. Be quiet and listen.
to bring some loving. Oh,
Marvin refused. By 1970, his brother Frankie had returned from Vietnam with stories Marvin couldn't stop hearing. He was watching American cities burn.
answer for only love.
He asked himself, with the world exploding around me, how am I supposed to keep singing love songs?
Talk to me, honey, so you can see.
He brought What's Going On to Berry Gordy. Gordy was vacationing in the Bahamas. When Gaye reached him by phone, Gordy said, Marvin, don't be ridiculous. That's taking things too far. When Gordy heard the finished recording, he called it the worst thing I ever heard in my life. Gaye went on strike. He refused to record a single note for Motown until Gordy released the song.
Simply cause our hair is
A Motown executive named Harry Balk pressed 100,000 copies and distributed them to radio stations without Gordy's knowledge or permission. The song sold 200,000 copies within a week. It became the fastest-selling Motown single in history. Rolling Stone later ranked it the 4th greatest song of all time.
signs. People don't punish me.
And Gordy, the man who called it the worst thing he'd ever heard, later said publicly it was probably the greatest piece of work that Motown ever put out. The man who said no, claiming credit for the yes.
Oh, baby.
Number 6, Stevie Wonder. The night before Stevie Wonder's 21st birthday, Berry Gordy threw him an extravagant party at his Boston Boulevard mansion. Stevie showed up with his family. He smiled, he laughed, he stayed the whole evening. The next morning, a letter arrived at Gordy's office from a lawyer Gordy had never heard of.
Writings on the wall.
It disaffirmed every contract Stevie Wonder had ever signed with Motown, effective the moment he turned 21.
It's about to fall.
Gordy wrote in his autobiography, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe we could have been together the night before, and he did not prepare me for something like this. Then Stevie told Gordy what he wanted, an unprecedented 20% royalty rate, full artistic control over every song he recorded, his own publishing company, Black Bull Music, owned entirely by Stevie, and an advance of over $900,000. Gordy described the negotiations in his memoir with 2 words: I was shaking in my boots. And there was more. When Stevie's childhood trust fund was finally paid out, the money he had earned as Motown's biggest child star, he expected the payment to be around $3.5 million.
Don't understand, can you stop it?
Motown handed him a check for $100,000. That was the final moment. Gordy eventually agreed to every single demand. The resulting 1975 contract was the largest recording deal in music history, $13 million up front. Stevie arrived to sign it wearing a full cowboy costume, 10-gallon hat, leather fringe, a gun holster with the words "#1 with a bullet" written on it. That was Stevie Wonder's message to Berry Gordy. Everything that followed, superstition, living for the city, isn't she lovely, exists because a blind man in a cowboy hat refused to blink. Number 5, David Ruffin. David Ruffin had the greatest voice in the Temptations, and his ego burned the whole thing to the ground. He joined the group in January 1964.
But I refuse to let you go.
Smokey Robinson wrote "My Girl" specifically for his voice. It went to number 1, and from that moment, David Ruffin believed he was the Temptations.
With no sense of pride, but
by 1967, he was arriving at performances in a private mink-lined limousine, separate from the one carrying the other 4 members. He demanded the group be renamed David Ruffin and the Temptations, pointing at how Gordy had already done it for Diana Ross. And then he did the most dangerous thing any Motown artist could do. He started asking Berry Gordy where the money was going. He demanded a full accounting of the group's earnings. Gordy partially complied, but made sure the outside accounting firm did not have access to the books from the group's management company, which was a Motown subsidiary. In June 1968, Ruffin missed a concert in Cleveland, Ohio, to attend a performance by his girlfriend, Dean Martin's daughter. He was fired 5 days later, but David Ruffin would not go quietly. He began following the Temptations on tour, walking on stage mid-performance, snatching the microphone from his replacement Dennis Edwards' hands, and singing lead on songs he felt he still owned.
Let your friends laugh.
The group hired extra security just to keep him out of their own concerts. David Ruffin died of a drug overdose in 1991, 2 years after being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When you hear that raw, eye-clawing vocal on "Ain't Too Proud to Beg," you're hearing a man demanding to be recognized. Berry Gordy recognized him, just never quite on David Ruffin's terms. Number 4, Diana Ross. Diana Ross was Berry Gordy's favorite. This is not rumor. Gordy himself admitted it. Ross herself admitted it. Every member of the Supremes knew it.
Baby, 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 don't leave me.
They were romantically involved for years. Gordy once said, "I wanted to make her the biggest star in the world, and she believed in me enough to let me do that." But believing in him came with a price. During the Supremes' early tour of England, Gordy added Dean Martin's "You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You" to the group's set list to show British audiences their range. Diana performed it once and refused to do it again. The audience hadn't liked it. She hadn't liked it. Gordy was furious. He described walking out of the theater that night feeling like my life left. He said if she wouldn't do it, that he could not manage them again. That is the power dynamic laid bare. His sense of control was so total that her saying no to one song felt like losing everything. Diana Ross navigated this better than almost anyone. She was inside the machine. In some ways, she was the machine. But even she paid. Her image was managed down to the dress. Her words were scripted, her relationships monitored. When she finally left Motown in the early 1980s, after decades of being its biggest star, she had only $300,000 to her name. $300,000 after tens of millions of records sold. She called Gordy to ask if he would match RCA's $20 million offer. He told her he couldn't. She left. That opening sound of "Where Did Our Love Go?" Controlled, clean. It's perfectly calculated. That is exactly what Berry Gordy wanted from everyone. Total success, total control, no exceptions. Number 3, The Temptations.
On dry land, but my life is
By 1969, The Temptations had survived David Ruffin's implosion, replaced him with Dennis Edwards, and hit #1 with "I Can't Get Next to You."
can fly like a bird.
They had proven the machine could keep running without their biggest voice. But underneath that success, the group was boiling.
No grain of sand, I can make the ship sail.
Eddie Kendricks had become convinced that Motown was cheating the Temptations out of money. He lobbied the entire group to go on strike against Berry Gordy. No performances, no recordings, until Gordy agreed to open the financial books to fully independent accountants. The other members refused to go that far. In 1971, both Kendricks and founding member Paul Williams were gone. Kendricks left for a solo career. Williams, suffering from severe alcoholism and depression, died 2 years later. This was the pattern at Motown. Artists who asked financial questions became dangerous. Artists who pushed back were removed or replaced. Artists who demanded accountability found the machine simply moved on without them.
Like a bird in the sky.
Berry Gordy held quality control meetings every Friday morning. Every new release had to compete with the top 5 selling pop singles of the week. Not the artist's decision, not the producer's decision, Berry Gordy's decision. Gordy's stars, according to multiple documented accounts, were kept on weekly allowances of $50 while their records sold millions worldwide. $50 a week. The Temptations were one of the most successful groups in American history. Multiple founding members ended their lives in poverty, addiction, or despair.
Girl, you're blowing my mind, 'cause I can't get...
When you hear that crowd explosion on the opening of I Can't Get Next to You, all that energy, all that power, know that behind it, a group of men were afraid to ask a simple question: where is our money?
Can't you see these tears I'm crying? I can't get it.
Number 2, Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson is not just a Motown artist, he is the reason Motown exists. When Berry Gordy was still a struggling songwriter in the late 1950s, unable to get paid what he was owed, a teenage Smokey Robinson told him, "Why work for the man? Why not you be the man?" Gordy built an empire on those words, and for the next 20 years, Smokey Robinson operated inside that empire as vice president of Motown Records, as its most prolific songwriter, as Gordy's closest creative partner and best friend.
I don't care what they do.
And even Smokey could not fully escape what it cost to live inside the machine.
And then let me go.
By the early 1970s, Smokey was exhausted. He had watched colleagues elevated and then abandoned. He had seen what happened to people who asked questions. He had been on a schedule with no room for rest or artistic freedom. And he left the Miracles in 1972 for a solo career. For several years, nothing worked. The solo albums underperformed. Critics agreed Smokey was a legend from another era. In 1981, he wrote Being With You entirely himself. No collaborators, no Gordy oversight. He wrote it for Kim Carnes, who turned it down.
I don't care what they do.
Smokey kept it. It went to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, the highest pop position of his entire solo career.
Like, do I want it so much till it's all?
The man everyone had written off delivered one of the most devastatingly beautiful love songs of the decade. Listen to those strings drifting in behind his voice, quiet, restrained, impossibly warm.
No, for sure is really real.
That is a man who survived everything Hitsville could throw at him and came out the other side with his voice still completely intact. Number 1, Marvin Gaye.